Hello friends! Sorry I couldn't be here today. Don't worry, I have something fun in store for you. Today we're going to be talking about different types of line, and we're going to create a cool little collage to go along with that. So let's get started. All you're going to need is a blank sheet of paper and a couple of scraps. These scraps will be provided to you. There should be a little bin on your desk or a box full of yellow, gray, tan, and pink scrap papers. What you're going to be turning these scrap papers into later is a cute little pencil that's going to be creating lines all over your paper. All right, first, let's make the background. The background is going to be a sheet of notebook paper. So that means we're going to have to add a couple of lines to this to make it look a little bit more like a notebook page. So what I'll do first is using either like a red or a pink crayon. You can use marker or colored pencil or oil pastel, whatever you like best. And you're going to choose a pink or a red shade to create a vertical line going from the top edge all the way down to the bottom. Doesn't have to be super duper perfect. And using a blue crayon or marker or color pencil, you can create some horizontal lines. I'm using a blue-green crayon. You can use any sort of material you like best. At the top of your paper is where the title would normally go, so I'm going to go down a little bit farther so I can leave room for the space at the top. Now I'm just making some horizontal lines. They don't need to be perfect. In fact, I honestly like it best when it's a little imperfect because it makes it more personal and just a little bit more fun. Art's about having fun, right? We shouldn't be stressing too much about making it too perfect or too anything. All right, almost there. And whoop, that should be good. Once you have your notebook paper all lined, you can add an additional detail if you'd like. I think what I'm going to do is use a hole puncher and add a couple of holes on the side. Now I only have a couple of these hole punchers in my classroom right now, so we do have to take turns. So you might have to wait a few minutes until someone at your table is done with their hole puncher so you can have a turn. While you're waiting for a turn, you could be starting the next step. All right, so I'm going to put this to the side and begin making my pencil. So, like I said, we have scraps of yellow, tan, pink, and gray, or it should be kind of silver, so it represents the metal part of our pencil. This is kind of where we're heading. It looks like a very pixelated pencil, kind of like maybe from Roblox or something, or Minecraft, but we're going to actually be altering these pieces a little bit. Like, for example, this pencil base, I'm going to add some little scalloped or curving cutting lines on this to kind of represent what the pencil tip looks like. It has those little wavy lines on it. So just to give it that little extra level of detail with my scissors, I'm going to add a couple of curving cut lines. Once again, don't need to be too perfect. Those aren't perfect, but I love them, right? Next, we are going to add the tip to the pencil. So this tip, you want to make sure it fits just right coming out from the pencil base. If you turn it maybe the wrong way, it might be a little too wide, so just kind of measure first. And I generally like to use my pencil to draw the triangular tip of it. So I go from side to side. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be somewhat resembling a pencil tip. Just going to cut those corners off. I'm going to make it a little duller. I don't want it to be super duper sharp. We like sharp pencils, but sometimes we don't need it to be that sharp. I'm not going to make any more adjustments to my pencil base, so I think I'm going to glue that down since I'm done cutting the detail of the little scalloped edge there. You can glue it wherever you want. I'm going to glue mine just a teensy bit off to the side so that it looks like it's kind of hanging off the edge of the paper. And with my pencil tip, I'm going to put a little glue on it and stick that kind of underneath so that the scalloped edge is showing, like so. Look at it come together. Next, I'm going to add my eraser tip. So the eraser tip should be the same width as your pencil base. So check that it's not going the wrong way and it's sticking up too much. You want it to be pretty uniform. So right now I've got a nice little base there. and I'll glue that down, but I'm just going to check to make sure this would fit perfectly once I glue it down. So I'm going to make a little adjustment to my eraser. I'm going to kind of curve the edges a little bit because an eraser is not super duper sharp and geometric. It's got kind of some worn down sides and edges to it, just like all the erasers in art class. They've been used a few times. They've seen better days. Oops, I got a little bit of glue on my pencil, but not to worry, comes right off. Just gonna stick that right underneath that yellow paper and get ready to add the metal piece that kind of connects the two. A little bit of glue. I will be using a Sharpie to add some details to all of these parts of my pencil. Clearly we need some pencil lead on the tip of this, so I'm going to use either a black marker or a Sharpie, or you can use a black crayon or a color pencil or an oil pastel, whatever you like best to add these kinds of details. So now I've got my pencil tip drawn on. If you would like to add a face or something to your pencil, if you want to give it a little character, that's super duper fun and cool. You can add like a number 2 or write Ticonderoga or whatever you would like to give it any more extra detail. I think I'm going to do an outline. Like I said, this part could be optional. Up to you. I'm going to go for it so it has more of a illustrated effect. Kind of just giving everything a little bit of a border to it so it looks like it's all surrounded in a black outline. Going down here. And maybe a little on this part. Maybe a couple vertical, or these would be diagonal, I suppose. Diagonal lines going down there. Couple of lines to represent the little metal texture. It's got a couple of lines like this, like different lengths and thicknesses. Maybe a little wavy line to show the ridges. All right, I think we're good. The very last step is to fill our page with as many types of lines as we can think of. To help you think of different types of lines, I've created a super helpful handout. This has some types of lines. It doesn't have every single type of line known to mankind, but it just has the basics. So if you would like to fill your page with as many lines as you can use a pencil to draw them out, or you can use a marker or a Sharpie, or if you want them to be colorful, you can. I personally like that the background is kind of the color part of it, so I think the lines themselves will be in Sharpie. So if you want to make it look like your homework, maybe you want to write your name at the top and the date, maybe it's an essay or some sort of report that you're working on, or maybe it's a poem, or maybe it's just a doodle, like you're just doodling on this notebook paper during class and you're just dreaming of something. Like for example, I think I'm going to do mine in pencil first so I can make sure I get it just right. But I do need to incorporate types of lines. Can't forget that. So in my doodle, I'm going to start doodling some lines, maybe a fancy free line, kind of doodling through the page like that. Maybe I'm going to write the date up here, which we would put 9-3-25. So it looks like I'm just doodling away in my paper. Some more line types. Let's get started on maybe a zigzag line. Who loves a zigzag line? I'm going to make it get bigger as it goes out that way. Maybe a wavy line. Wavy line, just filling up the page. Keep going until your whole paper is filled. Feel free to add any personal details. Like I said, like a little doodle. Maybe I'm going to do like a little heart up here. And then go over them in either a Sharpie or any sort of art material. All right, guys. Hope you have fun with this. Please do your best job, and I can't wait to see these when I get back. Bye.